Robin's there at the Vatican moderating and participating in a conference about the stem cell research that could potentially save lives. Hey, Robin, tell us about this conference you're at right now.
Well, buongiorno, Michele. Good morning, Michael, from here at the Vatican City. And it's really, I knew that you couldn't resist. It has been something else being here at the Vatican talking about stem cell research. And I'm so honored to be asked to share my story. And with my sister, Sally Ann, my big sister, Sally Ann, many of you are aware that she was my bone marrow donor back in 2012. She is here along with one of my doctors from Memorial Sloan Kettering back in New York, Dr. Sergio Giralt. And so we were just sharing everything that we have gone through in this journey. And people are very excited. Tomorrow, tomorrow, Vice President Joe Biden will be addressing this conference, you know, about his moonshot initiative. And of course, we're also going to have an audience with the Pope. But it's really been remarkable, the strides that are being made and the real advances that we are seeing in these medical advancements.
Robin, you're so calm with all that commotion behind you. You know,
that was a remarkable shot.
Well, you know, after you've been through what I've been through, so you know, what's a little, little chaos.
And we all do remember you were at the Vatican just 2 weeks before your stem cell transplant.
Right.
It must be so moving to be back.
Many of you there, George, Lara, Amy, Michael, you guys remember. You remember so incredibly well. And it was just weeks before I was going to have the transplant. And I came here to the Vatican and said a prayer that I would be able to have the strength to face whatever it is, whatever the outcome was going to be. And this whole conference, guys, which really is very interesting, it's that balance between science and faith, how science interfaces with faith and vice versa. And I have to say, and you know this, when I said to you all, hey, I'm going to the Vatican and we're talking about stem cell research and advances, and you're like, the Vatican and stem cells.
Amazing.
Pope Francis, Pope Francis. And you know, we're talking about immunotherapy, and Lara, I know you have a friend who's been going through that. And so these are the types of advances that we are seeing that are making a true difference. And I can't wait to share more with you throughout the morning.
It sounds fascinating. We can't wait either, but thank you, Robin.
Joining me now are some of the leading lights and luminaries in type 1 diabetes research. On my right, Dr. David Pierce, President of Sanford Research and Health, as well as Senior Scientist and Professor, will tell us about Sanford's unique three-legged stool approach to tackling this devastating disease. We'll learn about ways to rebalance the immune system from Dr. Jeff Bluestone, who's sitting to his left, Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost at the University of California in San Francisco, who has served as Director of the UCSF Diabetes Center and the Immune Tolerance Network. Doug Lasordo, immediately to my right, Senior VP of Clinical Medical and Regulatory Affairs and Chief Medical Officer, will discuss a phase 2 study for type 1 diabetes that employs a patient's own Treg cells to prevent the destruction of islet cells in the pancreas. We're also joined to my immediate left, Dr. Doug Melton, co-director of the Harvard Stem Cell Institute, a pioneer in the field who began his work 23 years ago when his son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And finally, Dr. Zhao, associate scientist at the Hackensack Medical Center, will describe groundbreaking research that was started in China and Spain using cord blood cells for patients with type 1 diabetes. The format will be that each scientist will present for just a couple of minutes on their particular area of expertise and research, and then it will be followed by a panel discussion.
Good afternoon. First, I appreciate the organizer giving me this opportunity to introduce our works. In the last over 10 years, we developed a stem cell educator therapy from identification this new type stem cells in cord blood and to its clinical applications. Today, I'm going to focus on the phase 2 clinical data, show how stem cell educator therapy can correct the autoimmunity and improve the metabolic control. These two key issues for the treatment of type 1 diabetes. On the left panel, you can see the procedure. The stem cell educators, like a medical device, already got FDA registration. It's a stem cell attached on the bottom of each layers. We use a apheresis machine, draw the blood from per patient, can isolate the immune cells, then transfer into the device. The stem cell can directly modulate and correct the immune dysfunctions. After the treatment, the stem cell treated the patient's own cells return to the patient's blood. Stem cells stay outside in the device. This is a closed system and continue process. Usually take about 8 to 9 hours. On the right slides, you can see that's the signaling mechanism inside the educator, how stem cell modulate the patient cells through the surface molecule and the soluble molecule can modulate the T cells and monocyte macrophage. This is the key player for the autoimmunity. Stem cell educator therapy can restore the immune balance. Here, this is clinical data from Chinese trial and Spanish trial. After treatment, the patient, the naive cells, the percentage can dramatically increase. Most importantly, the autoimmune memory T cells, both CD4 and CD8 effector T cells, that's the key player to kill the islet beta cells. After treatment, you see their percentage dramatically declined after 18 weeks. Interestingly, the central memory T cells increased. So on the right panel, you can see the regular T cell percentage in the treated group increased. For the control group, no difference. Stem cell educator therapy can restore the islet beta cell functions. We use the C-peptide as the indicator for beta cell function. From the top right panel, you can see we have 3 groups, Group A, Group B, and Group C. Group C is control group. Group A has some residual beta cell function left. Group C is a long-standing severe type 1 diabetes. No C-peptide begin the treatment. You can see after treatment, just one treatment, we follow up 6 months, their C-peptide dramatically increased, even in the severe Group B patient. We use the OGTT test. The patient drink 75 grams sugar water. We confirm the beta cell regeneration. You can see before the treatment, no response. After treatment, 4 weeks, 12 weeks, 40 weeks, you can see the C-peptide increased. For sure, there are beta cell replication. So we got a similar result in Caucasian population from Spanish trial. It's differently for the severe type 1 diabetic patient. If no C-peptide, they did not show the beta cell regeneration. What's the reason? We performed the mechanism studies. We find the Chinese pancreatic islet beta cells strongly expressed M2 receptor. You can see the right panel, top right. For the Caucasian population, the pancreatic alpha cells expressed M2, not on the beta cells. This molecule disparity causes the difference. The bottom right panel, you can see the triple staining, which showed M2 involved the beta cell replication. After over 20 years, the basic research and the clinical research, I'm glad we find the safe technology. They can correct the multiple autoimmune disease. So here, they show you examples. The alopecia areata, same like type 1 diabetes, is T cell mediated. This just the T cell kill the hair follicles. The patient lost the hair. You can see same approach, same technology, treat this patient. After 4 weeks, the small hairs grow up. After 12 weeks, almost grow up. We follow up 2 years, no relapse. Find a cure for this patient. This data provide visible evidence to demonstrate the immune modulation of stem cell educator therapy leading to the tissue regeneration. And on the right panel, we have another clinical trial. So we demonstrate stem cell educator therapy can correct insulin resistance and improve the beta cell functions in type 2 diabetic patient, because the end stage of the type 2 diabetes is similar like type 1 diabetes. Okay, thank you so much.
panelists' thoughts about combination therapy as a therapeutic way, both, if you will, on the prevention side as well as on the treatment side.
I want to add some comments. For type 1 diabetes, it's really complicated. It's not only target islet beta cells. The autoimmune T cells, they also can kill some other tissues. Like some type 1 diabetic patient, they have Hashimoto, also has some alopecia areata, also have colitis, okay? So that means the autoimmunity not only inside the pancreas, they're also outside the pancreas, okay? So that's, if you only a single clone, single therapy is not works. So I think, in the last 30 years, in this field, it's just the targeted T cells or B cells or other regulatory, like a CTLA-4, some surface co-stimulating molecules, does not work. You need to combine them together. The reason for stem cell educator therapy, you saw the data show the miracle. I think the key point, these stem cells expressed the autoimmune regulator, the AR protein. Usually is Alzheimer's expressed, but after become adult, Alzheimer's lost the function, but a lot of autoimmune disease developed. So we find these stem cells strongly expressed AR proteins. They can restore the immune balance, just like the artificial Alzheimer's, we treated the patient. Hopefully, this can lead to beta cell regeneration if we treat it at the early stage.